You know, for being such a small book, the Book of Omni has a lot going on in it. So let's take a look. First, let's start by setting the stage. This map represents possible locations for cities and lands in the Book of Mormon. Let's start with the land northward. Arriving from the Tower of Babel in Mesopotamia, the Jaredites arrived around 2200 BC. The Mulekites arrived around 600 BC from Jerusalem. Not much is known about Mulek or his followers, and what we do know is scattered throughout the Book of Mormon. Alma and Helaman tell us that they first landed in the land northward. Why they didn't stay there is unclear. It could be because it was during a time of great civil war and unrest, or even famine among the Jaredites. Whatever the reason was, they didn't stay there long and moved down into the land southward, where they set up their civilization. The Book of Omni tells us that the people of Zarahemla came out of Jerusalem at the time that Zedekiah, king of Judah, was carried away captive into Babylon. And they journeyed in the wilderness and were brought by the hand of the Lord across the great waters. Mosiah 25 tells us that the people of Zarahemla were descendants of Mulek, and those who came with him to the New World. And it's in Helaman that we learn that Mulek was the last surviving son of Zedekiah, king of Judah. Well, now that we know what was going on in the north, let's take a look at the south. This is where the main course of our story takes place, with Lehi arriving also from Jerusalem around 600 BC. Because of contention among the children of Lehi, they split into two groups, the Nephites and the Lamanites. And this is the way things stood in the Promised Land for about 450 years, from 1st Nephi through to Omni. The Book of Omni contains the writings of many authors, starting with Omni, who gave the record to his son Ammoron, who gave it to his brother Chemish, who then gave the record to his son Abinadam. And it was Abinadam that gave the small plates to Amaleki, and it's Amaleki that wrote the most about what happened in his day. He tells us about a man named Mosiah, who was warned of the Lord that he should flee out of the land of Nephi, and as many as would hearken unto the voice of the Lord should also depart out of the land with him into the wilderness. From other accounts we learn that Mosiah and his followers used a hill north of Shiloh as a place of resort before leaving the land of their fathers. This may give us some clue as to the conditions under which Mosiah and his followers left. And it came to pass that he did according as the Lord had commanded him. And they departed out of the land into the wilderness, as many as would hearken unto the voice of the Lord. And they were led by the power of his arm through the wilderness until they came down into the land, which is called the land of Zarahemla. On our map, it would look a little something like this. And they discovered a people who were called the people of Zarahemla. Now there was a great rejoicing among the people of Zarahemla, and also Zarahemla did rejoice exceedingly, because the Lord had sent the people of Mosiah with the plates of brass, which contained the record of the Jews. And it came to pass that the people of Zarahemla and of Mosiah did unite together, and Mosiah was appointed to be their king. The Book of Omni also gives us a unique account about a stone that was brought unto Mosiah during the days of his kingship, and Mosiah interpreted the engravings by the gift and power of God. The stone tells of one Coriantumr and the slain of his people. These are the Jaredites, and this is the first mention in the Book of Mormon of the Jaredites and of the destruction that now lay in the land northward. But in the land of Zarahemla, among the new kingdom of the Nephites, there was one man who gathered an army and wished to take back the lands the Lamanites had taken from them. Wherefore they went up into the wilderness, and their leader being a strong and mighty man, and a stiff-necked man, wherefore he caused a contention among them, and they were all slain, save 50 in the wilderness. And they returned again to the land of Zarahemla. But Amaleki tells us of one of the 50, who gathered together a large group of people to return again to the land of the Lamanites. And they were never heard from again in his lifetime. At this point, Amaleki tells us that the plates are full, and so he makes an end of the small plates of Nephi. Now let's review. Mormon began his record by abridging the large plates, a portion we no longer have. Then the small plates were inserted, 1 Nephi through Omni. Then Mormon will make a note in the Words of Mormon. This will help us connect his narration in the Book of Mosiah.